Hi, I'm Timothy Linsdau. I'm a video producer, Christian history buff, something like politics. Today I want to talk about the migrants, the caravan migrants down in Tijuana. Okay, the caravan migrants down in Tijuana are it's a sad situation, of course. How they all were motivated to be up here is open to conjecture. I've heard people paying them to be here, organizing. I don't know. But how in the world it happened at such amount, I don't know either. I had an opportunity to listen to an interview of the mayor from Tijuana, and also the local papers got some more on it. And the reason, of course, I report on it is because I live so close to this, probably only a couple miles from that issue. And help you understand maybe a little bit what's going on. Even the mayor of Tijuana said he doesn't know why in the world they're in Tijuana. My assumption, based on my knowledge of customs and Border Patrol, as I have friends in those, officers in those positions. The San Ysidro border is one of the busiest, if not the busiest, border crossing in the world. And it's probably because you have millions of people on both sides of this border. And you have a lot of traffic. People have jobs and businesses on both sides. They live on both sides. A lot of Americans go down Tijuana and Baja because it's much cheaper to live, and there's some really beautiful spots on the beach area. And I can understand that because San Diego is expensive. It's expensive to live here. So that, that's going to make it that much more difficult for these people trying to come across. They're trying to come across on asylum declaration. Anybody can come up and claim asylum. It doesn't mean you're going to be approved of asylum from oppression by a government, because the asylum is based on oppression or some kind of pursuit from a government, not from people saying my boyfriend beat me up or my father-in-law is chasing me. And I'm sorry to make humor of that situation, but or a gang member or gangs are pursuing us, that won't qualify you for asylum. It's a governmental issue. So what caused them to come in such a number, again, is conjecture. Somebody knows. I think the number is almost 6,000 that have come into Tijuana. And Tijuana is a large town, a large city. They don't have a lot of money. And in fact, I think it's costing them at least $30,000 a day. And they really can't afford that. And now that they've had trouble at the border with closing the border, I'll talk about that a little bit more. But when they close the border, there's so much transaction and business that goes across that border. I mean, it not only hurts what's going on down in Mexico, it hurts what's going on this side. It affects business. It's just a large number of people. Recently, you probably saw in the news, the caravan migrant groups tried to rush the border, and that has been done before, and people have come through the gates and across the border en masse. It's a very dangerous thing to do. They run into the freeway and get hurt multiple ways. To bring your children into that environment is careless. I know they're maybe desperate, but whole families have been killed on freeways. It's not a great thing at all. It's sad. And they needed to control it. I wanted to mention about the gates. The U.S. side has expanded the number of lanes and the facilities down there to improve that by quite a bit just recently. The Mexican side also have the ability to slam their doors shut. They have big gates on their lanes that go south. So they closed everything down. All these people come charging up there, going to get hurt. And that's apparently where that tear gas idea came from. It's just to stop that, get it under control, for both sides to deal with that. And of course, it's staying on the Mexican side, but they communicate. I mean, the U.S. and Mexico communicate. It's not like they don't, to try to keep things in order. But to get back to the Tijuana mayor about the caravan migrants, he's saying, first of all, he doesn't understand why they all came here, but I don't know about that. But the one thing they do need help, they need everything. They're just now starting to move people out of the tent cities into some kind of facilities. They had some, but there's just so many of them. They're just living in tents. And recently, as of yesterday, this area had its biggest rain probably in, more than 6 months. And that's pretty rough. I mean, it just makes a bad situation worse. Other than the fact we definitely need the rain here. This is an arid region, and we appreciate that, but it's pretty difficult for them. There are different religious organizations. My church has one, a border concern group that actually build houses down there for people. And people are living pretty sparse. They live in one-room buildings. Maybe you have to have water hauled in. It's a very difficult situation. This is a border city, and people want to cross. This is where they're going to be. They can. I mean, legally, you can cross. There's legal things you got to follow and procedures, and then you have to wait to see a judge, and they usually set a date for you to come back, and some people don't. So that's set up a whole nother mess. But I think if you have a church organization that helps people down there, it's probably a good time to take a look at doing that. How can you help them? I know this is a political football. It's a mess back and forth. People use it for power and money. But there's actual people suffering here, and thousands of them. And the mayor in Tijuana said there was a chance that there may be more coming. I mean, that's a mess. What kind of surprised me is how they got all the way across Mexico. I don't know, a couple thousand miles? It just doesn't seem very easy, especially if you have kids. The usual food, water, sanitation. I mean, that can't be great. In trying to get their way up here. I mean, wow. I know what it is like just to take a vacation. You gotta, and in America, we've got everything pretty much everywhere, but not that much in Mexico. There's a lot of primitive areas. So it makes it very difficult. So right now, of course, any of us in these neighborhoods near the border are concerned because many years ago when the border was more open, if you will, the crime was pretty high. And it doesn't mean these caravan migrant people are criminals. There's probably some scattered in among them, but most of them are just people trying to find something, to find a way to survive, get away from a bad situation. And we can argue about, gosh, shouldn't they have stayed and fought for their country or improve it? Maybe so, but right now the reality is they're all stacked up down there. Some are starting to go back. Who set this up, why it happened, I don't know. But the people there are going to need help for a while. And Tijuana doesn't have the greatest resources. San Diego, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol have dealt with large groups before, and they know what to do with that to make it work. So it's a tough situation. But right here, our concern is that everybody's safe. Nobody's rushing the border and having maybe criminal issues. But this is probably some of the most protected piece of real estate in the world here. There's so much Border Patrol and customs agents in this area. Let alone now the National Guard's down there, but they're not carrying weapons. They're just handling logistics for Border Patrol. The thing a Border Patrolman told me some years ago when I was working on a film on Otay Mountain, that within 25 miles of the Border Patrol can go anywhere to protect the United States. And one time I had an illegal in my house. It's a whole nother story. But no more than I had let him in, and a Border Patrolman came right through the door when I turned my back and grabbed the guy. If you think that isn't weird. And never said a word to me, but they had been watching and observing. And it had to do with neighbors and friends and business. It was a weird situation, but I learned from it, and that's quite a while ago. But anyway, a little bit what it's like being on the border with Mexico. It's a pretty dynamic place. There's a large river valley between the two, which I've been in quite a bit and done a video or two on that. It's quite a place. So do what you can. Christians, put it in prayer. Others, see what you can do. Contact Tijuana, get on the internet. Just trying to let you know what's going on. Have a good day. Thank you for watching. Like and comment on my video, and how about subscribing to my channel? Thank you.